Chia, what up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of all time of Joe Doesn't Know. Joe does not know. See, I don't even know the title of it. That's the point. I don't know. It's not called I don't know because I don't know what I'm talking about. It's called I don't know because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And hopefully I know what is going to be discussed once I decide what I'm discussing. So today what we're talking about is women in sanitation throughout history. My theory is that the majority of our increase in the standard of living from the medical field actually comes from sanitation, not from medicine itself. See, I think that medicine is derived from larger pharmaceutical industries that basically are selling the same snake oil that they've been selling for generations, since the Rockefellers were peddling snake oil all the way back to, I think, the great-grandfather Rockefeller. What was his name? But he had a bunch of illegitimate children, and he was like a legit snake oil salesman, traveling the country, conning people, and he was not rich like his descendants. He just raised them to be ruthless, business, cunning people, and you could kind of call him, I think, the father in spirit of the pharmaceutical industry. And if not, it doesn't matter if they inherited the spirit from him. It's still the same spirit. It's sell you snake oil and claim that it heals you. Like, how is that any different from a shaman saying, wave these two feathers around, and as the sun sets on the next day, your boils will dissolve? Like, they don't know what they're talking about. The medical industry does not know what they're talking about, by and large, for the most part. This is my opinion. These are just opinions. This is not medical advice. This is not even advice. This is not even me telling you I'm right. When I say I have an opinion, I mean I could very well be wrong. Okay, anyways, so the point is this. Most of your elevation in your standard of living has come from sanitation, not from doctors. So when you take a cloth and wipe your countertop and disinfect it with some spray, when you soap your body up in the shower, when you clean up the floor neurotically because there's crumbs, like, this level of sanitation is not a level that humans are used to in the past. We're used to living in the grime, in the dirt, living with bacteria. Like, our whole body is bacteria. Inside of us is nothing but bacteria. Our whole experience for all of history was a immersion in bacteria, and for the most part, what it did was kill us. Now, some of it eventually learned how to coexist with us and protect us. That's why we have good gut bacteria, but for the most part, it killed us. People died of mysterious causes for all of human history up until modern times, and the mystery was just little microbial, little tiny animals, little organisms, little bacteria spreading on your skin, getting inside of you. It's horrific, and it's heartbreaking. And that's the point of this video, which is a concept that I call women in sanitation. And it's really a concept to elevate what the role of women has been for all of human history. It's magical when you think of it in these terms. Women have been doctors. So, okay, to understand that, you have to knock your contemporary notion of doctors off of a pedestal, because it's wrong, according to this theory. And then you have to elevate your contemporary notion of a woman's role in a house as a homemaker, or anybody's role as a homemaker. Okay, so let's break that down. So the second one, somebody's role in the house as a homemaker. Today we think of it in terms of they're making the house presentable for guests, making it look good, making it stylish, fluffing the pillows, washing the laundry. Yeah, but all for what? It's not to make the house presentable. Okay, that's only in modern times. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's move on to the first one. Knock modern doctors off of the pedestal that you have them on. They're peddling drugs for pharmaceutical companies. That's what they do. They're snake oil salesmen operating in the spirit of the Rockefeller family snake oil salesmen. That's all they're doing. All of their products are derived from oil. That was the original intended stated goal of the pharmaceutical industry, was to get all the educational institutions in America and the world to peddle products that can be derived from petroleum, which they were in control of. They controlled petroleum. It's literally turning oil into medicines It's the snake oil business. Now, let's go back to women's role in the home as a homemaker. It's not to make the house presentable. It's to sanitize the house. And what is sanitation in the context of this idea? It's being a doctor. So let's say our standard of living has gone up 1,000,000%. Kids don't die at the same rate. You don't get sick at the same rate. You're not itching and scratching all day. You don't anticipate passing away from a mystery illness sometime before you're 40. But most importantly is infant mortality. Kids were dying at a rate of greater than 50% for most of human history. Like, people would go out on wagon treks across the country and the woman would have 4 or 5 babies during that time and they would all die. And this was normal. You know, a homesteading couple would be tilling land season after season trying to scratch a niche for themselves in this world, and every 11 months an infant would die. Like, can you imagine that type of an existence? Imagine an infant dying anywhere. Like, imagine you lived in an apartment building with 1,000 people and you heard news that an infant died. It would break the whole apartment building wide open emotionally. Nobody would be able to believe it. It's crazy. Like, that's how high our standard of living is in modern times. But back in the day, every 11 months an infant is dying per family. Guys, connect with that when you're listening to the rest of what I had to say here. Infant mortality was 50%. And what was killing these infants? More importantly, what is saving them now? It's not the modern medical industry. It's just sanitation. What, you think doctors are coming to check on your home and check on the health of your babies, and that's what's preventing them from dying? No. What do you do when you go get a checkup with your doctor, your wellness baby checkup? What, they weigh the kid, they check their height, what, they put the light in their eyes, they check their pulse. You think this is what has contributed to that 50% infant mortality rate disappearing? Come on, people, wake up. The process that is saving these infants is when you take a sanitized wet wipe out of its package and you rub the countertop and you disinfect it of bacteria. The process that is saving your infant children is that you understand the germ theory of disease, so you know that you better use soap every time you change the baby's diaper, or that you better not let the baby play with other sick babies, or sick people. And in general, don't let the baby be exposed to bacteria anywhere in the house, anywhere, like, for the most part. That is what is saving your kid. So that means you are the doctor. The doctor is not the doctor. You are the doctor. And who is you? The homemaker. You, the homemaker, you're sanitizing the home. You're saving everybody. You are doing more to contribute to the health of the children than any doctor in the world, or all the doctors put together. No matter what is your baby on medication? Like, what do you need the pharmaceutical industry for? What do you need the medical industry for? To take your baby's pulse? To check their height? No. The baby doesn't need the medical industry. The baby doesn't need doctors. The baby needs a person in the home who understands sanitation. You are the doctor. Okay, so my point here is that the female's role in modern times is often really marginalized in the way that it's looked at, because it's not seen as an important role to make the house presentable, to tidy the house up. But that's because we have disconnected this idea of tidying the house up with sanitizing the house to save children, to prevent 50% infant mortality, to prevent people's lives from being cut short at the age of 40 from bacterial infection and avoidable infection. It's really actually the most important job that there is, like the most, to be a doctor in charge of the health of everybody in your home, especially the most vulnerable. And so I say this because I'd say on both sides of the gender discussion, there's people saying that women's relegation to the home is somehow demeaning, lacks purpose, deprives them of a life where they get to go out and make an impact on the world and doesn't demonstrate any example of like personal virtue and fortitude and is just in general worthless. And that's kind of the reason that women need to enter the workforce. Now, this is not any kind of argument about women entering the workforce or not. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm just talking about the demeaning, the degradation of women's historical role, or the historical role of anybody who's a homemaker, man or woman. Do you guys understand that the pedestal you put modern doctors on is actually the position that should be occupied by homemaker? Homemaker. Because it's not tidy up the home. It's sanitize this place so we don't die. All right. So this has been the first episode of Joe Don't Know. Because I also don't know when I'm going to end each episode. And I definitely don't know if anybody is ever going to care. But I care. Because it's a little cathartic to get all this out. Enjoy, my people. Cheers.